If you know the enemy and know yourself, you need not fear the result of 100 battles. Sun Tzu. Most people lose their battles long before the fight even begins. Not because they are weak. Not because they lack talent. But because they walk into life blindly, without understanding themselves, and without understanding the world around them. Every day is a battlefield. Some people fight for money. Some fight for status. Some fight for attention. And others fight a silent war inside their own minds. The modern world teaches us to react instantly. To argue. To prove ourselves. To attack every problem head-on. But Sun Tzu believed that true power works differently. More than 2.500 years ago, in The Art of War, he wrote that the greatest victory is winning without fighting. Because the smartest warrior is not the strongest one, but the one who understands timing, emotion, human nature, and strategy. A foolish man charges forward driven by anger. A wise man observes first. He studies the terrain. He studies people. And most importantly, he studies himself. Many of the conflicts in our lives are unnecessary. Arguments on the internet. Endless competition. Trying to impress people who do not care. Proving ourselves to strangers. These battles slowly drain our energy. Sun Tzu warns that every war has a cost. Even victory can destroy the person who wins it. That is why not every battle deserves your attention. Sometimes strength is silence. Sometimes power is patience. And sometimes the greatest move is refusing to play the game at all. Water does not fight the rock directly. Yet over time, it shapes mountains. Sun Tzu believed strategy should be like water. Formless, adaptable, impossible to control. When the world becomes aggressive, remain calm. When others become emotional, remain clear-minded. When people expect your reaction, become unreadable. Because those who control their emotions control the battlefield. The art of war is not really about war. It is about life. It teaches us how to move through chaos without losing ourselves. How to survive without becoming cruel. How to think before acting. And how to win without destroying everything around us. In the end, the strongest people are not the loudest. They are the ones who master themselves. And perhaps that is the greatest lesson Sun Tzu ever taught. Before you can conquer the world, you must first conquer your own mind. Most people think war begins when conflict appears. But Sun Tzu believed war begins much earlier. Inside the mind. Long before swords are drawn. Before words are spoken. Before any visible battle begins. There is already a hidden struggle taking place within us. Fear against courage. Impulse against discipline. Ego against wisdom. And most people lose their first. The modern world rewards reaction. The faster you respond, the more powerful you appear. People argue instantly. Judge instantly. Become angry instantly. But reaction is not strength. Reaction is often weakness disguised as confidence. A person who cannot control their emotions can easily be controlled by others. That is why Sun Tzu repeatedly warned against anger in battle. Because anger clouds judgment. Pride blinds intelligence. And emotional people are predictable people. Think about how many unnecessary battles begin because someone felt disrespected. A comment online. A small insult. A disagreement. A moment of jealousy. And suddenly people waste weeks, months, even years trying to prove themselves. But prove what? That they are louder, more aggressive, more dominant. Sun Tzu would likely see this as foolishness. Because true strength does not need constant validation. The lion does not lose sleep over the opinion of sheep. Many people destroy their peace trying to win arguments that never mattered in the first place. This is why one of the deepest teachings in the art of war is not about violence, but about conservation of energy. Every battle costs something. Even emotional battles. Stress. Focus. Time. Inner peace. And if you constantly fight everything around you, eventually you begin fighting yourself. Some people are physically exhausted not because life is hard, but because their minds are always at war. Always comparing. Always reacting. Always chasing. Always proving. Sun Tzu understood that exhaustion creates weakness. That is why he admired efficiency. He believed the greatest warriors use the least amount of force necessary. Not because they are soft, but because they understand waste. A river does not force its way through the mountain in a single day. It flows calmly, patiently, and eventually even stone begins to surrender. There is enormous power in calmness. Unfortunately, modern society misunderstands calm people. Silence is mistaken for weakness. Patience is mistaken for passivity. Stillness is mistaken for laziness. But still water reflects clearly. A disturbed mind cannot see truth. This is why intelligent people often appear quiet. They observe more than they speak. Sun Tzu believed observation was one of the greatest advantages in war. Most people reveal themselves without realizing it. Their habits, their insecurities, their desires, their fears. People speak through their behavior long before they speak through words. Someone who constantly seeks attention is often deeply insecure. Someone who becomes angry easily is usually emotionally fragile. Someone obsessed with appearing powerful may secretly feel powerless. And yet most people never notice these things. Because they are too busy talking. Observation requires silence. That is why silence can become a strategy. Not manipulative silence, but disciplined silence. The kind of silence that allows you to understand reality before reacting to it. In many situations, the person who speaks less controls more. Because they are gathering information while others are exposing themselves. Sun Tzu taught that knowing the enemy is essential. But in modern life, the enemy is often not another person. Sometimes the enemy is distraction. Sometimes it is laziness, fear, addiction, comfort, validation, and perhaps the most dangerous enemy of all is ego. Ego makes people fight battles they cannot win. Ego makes people speak when they should listen, attack when they should wait, show off when they should improve quietly. The ego constantly wants recognition. But wisdom grows in silence. This is why many truly successful people move quietly. While others are talking about becoming powerful, they are building power. While others seek attention, they seek mastery. Sun Tzu understood something most people never realize. Visibility creates vulnerability. The more you reveal, the easier you are to attack. This applies everywhere. In business, in relationships, even online. People who constantly display everything about themselves often become prisoners of public opinion. Their happiness depends on attention. Their confidence depends on approval. And once approval disappears, so does their identity. But someone grounded within themselves cannot easily be manipulated. That is true freedom. Sun Tzu compared strategy to water because water adapts to everything. Pour water into a cup. It becomes the cup. Pour it into a river. It becomes the river. Water does not resist reality. It works with it. And perhaps that is one of the hardest lessons in life. Most suffering comes from resistance. People resist change. Resist aging. Resist endings. Resist uncertainty. But life itself is movement. Nothing remains forever. Not youth. Not success. Not pain. Not happiness. Everything changes. And intelligent people learn to move with change instead of fighting against it. A tree that refuses to bend eventually breaks in the storm. But bamboo survives because it adapts. Sun Tzu deeply understood adaptability. He warned against rigid thinking. The moment someone believes they already know everything, they become dangerous to themselves. Because reality constantly changes. Strategies change. People change. The world changes. A person who cannot adapt becomes trapped in the past. And many people today are trapped exactly there. They replay old memories, old failures, old heartbreaks. They carry emotional wounds for years, feeding them every day through thought. But the past is a battlefield that no longer exists. You cannot win a war that already ended. And yet many people continue fighting ghosts. Sun Tzu would likely advise us to focus on positioning instead. Where are you now? What resources do you have? What can be done today? Not every loss needs revenge. Not every mistake needs punishment. Sometimes wisdom is simply moving forward. Another powerful lesson in the art of war is timing. Even the correct action performed at the wrong moment can become a mistake. There is a time to advance, a time to retreat, a time to speak, a time to remain silent. But impatient people destroy opportunities because they cannot wait. Modern culture glorifies speed. Faster success, faster money, faster results. But nature does not work that way. The strongest trees grow slowly. The deepest relationships form slowly. Real mastery develops slowly. Patience is difficult because it feels passive. But patience is not passive. Patience is controlled trust in the process. Sun Tzu understood that forcing outcomes creates weakness. Desperation reveals itself quickly. And desperate people become easy to manipulate. This is especially true in relationships. People chase attention because they fear loneliness. They tolerate disrespect because they fear abandonment. But fear always weakens judgment. Someone afraid to lose people often loses themselves first. Inner peace requires detachment. Not coldness. Not isolation. But the understanding that your value cannot depend entirely on external things. Because external things always change. People leave. Money disappears. Status fades. Beauty ages. If your identity depends only on temporary things, then suffering becomes inevitable. This is why self-mastery matters so deeply. Not mastery over others, but mastery over yourself. Can you remain calm under pressure? Can you stay disciplined when nobody is watching? Can you avoid meaningless conflict? Can you walk away from temptation? Can you control your tongue when angry? These are the real battles. And unlike wars fought with weapons, these battles happen every single day. Most people believe strength means dominating others. But dominating yourself is infinitely harder. Anyone can shout. Few can remain calm. Anyone can react. Few can stay conscious. Anyone can start a battle. Few know when to end one. That is wisdom. Sun Tzu repeatedly emphasized preparation because calm confidence comes from preparation. Fear often comes from uncertainty. When people avoid responsibility, avoid discipline, avoid growth, their anxiety increases. Because deep down they know they are unprepared. Preparation creates peace. A disciplined mind sleeps better than a chaotic one. And discipline is not punishment. Discipline is self-respect. It is choosing long-term peace over short-term pleasure. Unfortunately, many people today are overstimulated and under-disciplined. Constant entertainment weakens attention. Constant distraction weakens awareness. And without awareness, people become easy to control. That is why solitude is important. Not permanent isolation, but moments of silence away from noise. Because silence reconnects people with themselves. Most people are terrified of silence because silence exposes what distraction hides. Loneliness, fear, regret, confusion. But if someone learns to sit quietly with themselves, they become stronger. Because eventually they stop running. And when you stop running from yourself, clarity begins to appear. Sun Tzu believed clarity wins battles. Confused minds make emotional decisions. Clear minds see opportunities others miss. That is why mental stillness is power. Not flashy power. Not loud power. Quiet power. The kind of power that does not need attention to exist. Perhaps this is why truly wise people often seem detached from chaos. They understand that not everything deserves emotional involvement. The world constantly invites people into conflict. News, social media, politics, drama, comparison. Everyone wants your attention because attention is energy. And where your attention goes, your life follows. So the real question becomes, what deserves your energy? Sun Tzu would probably tell us that a wise person protects their energy carefully. Not out of selfishness, but out of understanding. Because wasted energy cannot be recovered. And life is shorter than people think. Many realize too late that they spent years fighting meaningless wars. Trying to impress strangers. Trying to win approval. Trying to become someone else. Only to discover that peace was never found outside. It was always internal. The greatest victory is not becoming superior to others. It is becoming free from the need to compete with everyone around you. That is real power. And perhaps this is why the art of war still survives after thousands of years. Because beneath its military language, it speaks about human nature, fear, desire, ego, wisdom, discipline, awareness. The battlefield changes, but the human mind remains remarkably similar. We still struggle with pride, still fear rejection, still seek control, still avoid pain. And maybe that is why Sun Tzu's words continue to resonate today. Because the ultimate battlefield has never truly been outside of us. It has always been within. If this message resonated with you, take a moment to slow down today. Observe your thoughts. Choose your battles carefully. And protect your peace like something sacred. Because in a world constantly trying to provoke you, remaining calm may be the rarest form of strength. And if you enjoyed this video, consider subscribing for more reflections on philosophy, self-mastery, and inner peace. Thank you for watching.